Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Heavy Metal Devils. Danny here, and this is going to be the match preview for Manchester United versus Crystal Palace, round 2 this Saturday. And just before we get into this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let's try and get to 1,000, maybe before I get back from holiday. Who knows? But anyway, I honestly can't remember the last time we played Crystal Palace. I feel like it's been ages. No, we actually just played them on Tuesday night in the Carabao Cup, where we came away with a 3-0 victory at home with Anthony Martial, Garnacho, and Casemiro all getting on the score sheet. It was arguably, I wouldn't even say arguably, it was our best game of the season, which is funny because a lot of our starters were actually rested during this game, and the youngsters kind of came on and showed some of our starters what they need to do when it came to running, pressing, the attitude they had on the pitch. It was just wonderful to see from the team at that time. We were extremely dominant, and yes, it was a weakened Crystal Palace side, but it was also a weakened Manchester United side. So I don't want to hear, you beat Crystal Palace's B team. Look, it was mostly our B team as well. So, and some of it was even our C team. We had Harry Maguire in the team. So, yeah. Anyway, it was an extremely dominant performance. 3-0 win. They didn't even get a shot on goal until we were like 2-0 up, which is a crazy stat. But yeah, I think, going back to that Burnley game, we couldn't really analyze that Burnley game very well because it was just a game where 3 points were all that mattered. But now, I think we're starting to see a little bit of a turnaround. We've got 2 wins under our belt. Massive thing is 2 clean sheets under our belt as well. So that's giving confidence to our defense, giving confidence to our goalkeeper in Andre Onana because, he's struggled just a little bit since coming here. So overall, things are starting to move in a more positive direction for Manchester United. Our injury woes are starting to return. Mason Mount is now back in the team. AMRABAT is in the team. It's just our defense kind of still lacking. Varane is now back in the team as well. Had a few cameos over the last couple games. So I would expect him back for this one as well. But we're still missing the likes of Wan-Bissaka, Shaw, Malacia. I think Reguilon as well is out injured still. So I know Ten Hag said he was sick, but I do think he was injured with a hamstring. And who knows how long that might be. But like I said, guys, overall, moving things in a good direction. And there's a couple players I wanted to point out. And the first one being Casemiro. He started off this season terribly, but that's been kind of a thing of his. He started at Real Madrid. Always took him a few games to get in. Remember last year, it took him like 5-6 games to really get going. And now we've seen it over the last 2 or 3 games. He's really starting to come into form. He is now our top scorer, which is crazy for a central defensive midfield. And you know what? I'm going to do a video on this actually when I'm in the States. Probably my first video I'll do is that it's a stat no one's really talking about is Casemiro has 20 he has 20 goal involvements since joining Manchester United as a defensive midfielder, and that is incredible. Yeah, he's really, really starting to come into form a bit, and it could all be down to us now having AMRABAT in the team. He started to come into form before AMRABAT was in, but now seeing that last Crystal Palace game, you can see once AMRABAT did shift into that midfield, it really gave Casemiro that freedom and that license to do what he needs to do and sweep up and go forward and all that. He's not having to run around so much. And speaking of AMRABAT, he's the next player I did want to highlight. He was off the chain in that Crystal Palace game. Came in, filled in that left back, did a solid job. I think won all of his tackles, did some decent passing, had a shot that handed out. He did have one shot, which ended up being in like row Z. I'm sure someone got a sick souvenir that night. And then during the second half, he brought Mason Mount off. Victor Lindelof came in at left back and shifted AMRABAT into that midfield, so we can see a bit of what Erik Ten Hag is looking to do with that midfield of Casemiro and AMRABAT. And you could really see now Casemiro was really enjoying this, getting his freedom. Amrabat staying at the back, providing that energy, sweeping up all the nonsense, because he's not a goal scorer. He's a progressive passer and a tackler. So he was really getting into that while Casemiro was flying up forward, providing assists, providing goals. It was really, really nice to see, and I'm excited where this goes from here. Is Bruno going to come back into that 10? Is he going to go on the right? Who knows? We'll see what my lineup says in just a few minutes. But yeah, overall, really positive last few days for Manchester United. Still a bunch of shit happening in the news, but we'll try to ignore that. Let's focus on what the games are right now. So anyway, let's talk Crystal Palace. Just a minute or so on Crystal Palace. They were absolutely flat against us in the Carabao Cup. They could have just tossed it off. Who knows? I don't expect that same lineup to feature in the Premier League match this weekend. They did have guys come in a bit later on, like Eze. I think Olise is injured. He might be back for this game. Edouard is injured, but they still have I forget what's the other guy, Ayew, who can score goals. Dean Henderson came off injured as well during that Carabao Cup. I'm not sure he would have featured in the Premier League just yet. So they are working with some injuries, but they did not play their strongest team against Manchester United, and they're gonna play the likes of Eze, and this dude is an absolute beast. You gotta watch him when he gets on the ball. They're gonna spread that out wide, and he's a trickster. He can get past our players, put balls in. He also scores goals, can score free kicks. Yeah, he is a talented player, and I think this might be his last year at Crystal Palace. He is destined to move on to a big, big club, and it could be us. Who knows? Seeing what's going on with Anthony and Sancho right now. But he's the one that we've got to watch, is Eze. They do have Mark Gahey at the back as well. Solid defender. I think he could be the next big England defender as well. I don't think he'll be at this club for much longer, but I think those are really the main two players we need to keep an eye out for. Mainly Eze. Gahey is more a defense stalwart that we do need to figure out how to break down. And he did play in the Carabao Cup a bit, so I'm not too worried. Yeah, but Eze, we cannot let this man run the show, because he will run the show. We've got to shut him down. That's pretty much it. Crystal Palace will look to utilize their wings to get the ball out wide, especially with guys like Eze. If Olise was in there, they would have a bit of a more solid midfield, but I don't know if he will be starting. But yeah, I think this should be a game we should easily handle. It is at home. And yeah, let's just go to my starting lineup. So my starting lineup is as follows: is Andre Onana in net. On the right, we've got Diogo Dalot. We don't have any left. We don't have any fullbacks, dude. He's the only fullback we have, and he's putting in work right now. So Diogo Dalot on the right. We got Rafael Varane, and I'm gonna put him next to Johnny Evans, even though I wouldn't be surprised to see Maguire feature here, because he had a solid game against Crystal Palace a couple days ago. So maybe Harry Maguire does take this spot, because I'm not sure Lisandro Martinez is quite fit yet. And as a left back, instead of putting AMRABAT there, I think we'll see Victor Lindelof. He did very, very well there, coming in and replacing AMRABAT in that position when they took off Mason Mount the other day. So that's the backline I'm going for. The only thing I'm a bit worried about with this backline is the mobility. Rafael Varane is quick, but Johnny Evans, Victor Lindelof, not the quickest. So I do worry about that. I would worry about maybe Victor Lindelof going one-on-one against Eze, but this is what I'm going for for right now. My midfield is going to be the 6 is the Casemiro and AMRABAT. 6 or 8, they could be 2 6s. Who knows? I'd like to see AMRABAT get a full run out in the midfield next to Casemiro, and then in the 10 with Bruno as well. I think that is going to be an unbelievable midfield once it gets going. And then I keep saying I want to see this. I want to see Mason Mount on the right. I want to see him on the right wing. I don't see Eric Ten Hag necessarily doing that. I see him putting maybe Mason Mount back up in the 10, and then maybe having Bruno feature on the right because that's what he's been doing. But I want to see Mason Mount go on the right. On the left, look, I think Garnacho should start. I think he had an excellent game the other day, but we all know Rashford is going to start this game. And then up front, yes, Anthony Martial did get a goal on Tuesday, but it's got to be Rasmus Højlund. This dude's on fire as well. He is an absolute workhorse, and I think he's exactly what Erik ten Hag is looking for. So yeah, that's my starting lineup. Let me know what you think. Would you make any changes? Would you bring anybody else in? Swap anyone out? Let me know. But I think that's a very, very strong lineup and should put Crystal Palace to the sword. Another 3-0 victory could be down for this one. But anyway, let's go on to my score prediction. Score prediction, I'm going to go with another, you know what? I'm going to go with a 4-1 victory. We looked really good, and if we can continue that, I think we can score even more goals. We should have scored more. So I'm going with 4-1. Manchester United win. I'd like to see goals from Højlund. I'd love to see Rashford just get on the score sheet again. Let's go with Casemiro to continue his scoring form and Mason Mount to get on the score sheet. So those are my 4 picks for scores. But yeah, 4-1 is my score prediction. You comment below. Tell me your score prediction. And yeah, that's my match preview for Crystal Palace, Manchester United this weekend at Old Trafford. Don't forget, guys, I am going to be away. I'm actually flying out in a couple hours. And I'll be doing content while I'm in the U.S. And yeah, anyway, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Later.